Hello, Family Karma.
Welcome to Family Karma Cast.
Welcome. Sorry we're a little late this week, friends. It's been a week.
Yeah, it's been a week for sure.
This is like, I don't know. I feel like this always happens in the early part of the year. Like January is like you get back into it, but it's like still a little bit slow. And then February is like full steam ahead. Crazy.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Roadrunner territory.
Definitely for both of us
right now. But I do want to talk about our Patreon.
Oh, yes. Yay. Part of the hustle.
Because our Patreon right now is in full swing.
It is. And so fun.
If you're not there, you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot more Bravo content and a lot more commentary. And it's so cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than Starbucks. I actually went to Starbucks yesterday before class and I got a tea and it was more than our monthly Patreon.
Wait, tea was more than $3? It's literally hot
Tea's
water.
Really expensive.
And a tea
I
bag.
know. It was really, and it's interesting because like Starbucks puts 2 bags in.
Oh.
Which I think is a little aggressive.
Yeah, because then you also, I find that then my tea gets oversteeped when I get it from there. And then I only drink like part of it.
So my friend was making fun of me because I always take out the bags.
No, that's what you should do.
She was like, oh, I always let them steep. I was like, oh, no way. I take out the bag after 5 minutes, even when I make it at home.
Yeah.
So that being said, we have a fabulous Patreon.
Yeah.
You're going to get 4 additional episodes of Family Karma Cast, which is called Thirsty 30 on there. And I have to say, for those who are like, oh, well, I'm only interested in Bravo and Family Karma stuff, we do additional Family Karma comments.
We do.
And we cover the shows. And I just saw the intro for the new Vanderpump, and Sheena Shea was not in a waitress outfit. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess she leveled up a little bit.
Yeah, she's still working at I mean, I've missed a season or two, so I don't know what the hell is going on.
So she's definitely not from the intro. And so we're covering all that.
And
Jersey's
pop culture,
coming back.
And I love when we talk about things that we're watching too, like and giving recommendations, because I learn good stuff from you that I can be watching or reading or listening to or whatever. So
I do want to say the new Lil Yachty album.
I've heard
it might be the best album of 2023.
Do you know that
and
I
it's
heard
only
that
February.
on KGNU
Really?
yesterday?
Really? I wonder who said that. Yeah, the new Lil Yachty.
It's like an independent album. It's like a totally different sound.
It's just a genre shifting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't really know his stuff before, and I came across it, and I literally listened to it from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's a complete album.
And it's, for those of you who don't know, I work at a community radio station, and I'm the music director there, but we're like not about the commercial Lil Yachty, but we're all about the independent
did you all
underground
get it in?
Lil Yachty. No, well, I just got back to my job after maternity leave, so I haven't put any music in lately, but the DJ who's great from Denver yesterday played it. He was like, yeah, total departure.
It's incredible.
New sound.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is
It
Lil
sounds like
Yachty?
Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Yeah, it's incredible. He has Mac DeMarco on there.
You know, I just love
Alex
a pivot like that. I love it.
Yeah, we love someone who just like sees what they can do and just kind of stretches those boundaries.
Yeah, and does it well.
No matter if it fits their like quote unquote fan base or not.
Yeah.
And the production value, I mean, the production value, of course, is high because you can tell like he had a lot of because he has a lot of support from his record label, but just the sound is so nostalgic in these ways, but so modern.
Yeah, totally.
For those of us who like for me, Pink Floyd was just formative years. Anyway, we talk about all this stuff and we talk about Bravo and Miami's great and the reunion looks are beautiful and we're going to talk about all this stuff. So $3 a month.
Yes.
To hear more content, please, Family Karma Cast with a K.
I just want to say that like our Patreon, in addition to getting the extra content, like you are supporting this small but mighty podcast that we run here, that we do out of the love of our hearts for family karma and supporting that community. And so I want to shout out to the patrons we do have. You guys are awesome. You really float our boat.
Yeah. And to do more housekeeping at the beginning, I do also would love for you all to rate and review.
Yep.
Our podcast, wherever you get our podcast. We have a lot of older listeners. And when I say older, not age-wise, ones that have been with us from
day one,
for the last 3 years. And then ones that have gotten on board. And so just rate and review us, because it really helps with, I don't even know what those things are called, where it pumps you up.
It kind of like makes your podcast more visible, I think, to people who are browsing or looking for different content. So yeah, it's really helpful. And I mean, we are 1 month away from 3 years of this podcast. Wild.
Yeah. That's wild.
All right, let's talk about this episode. It was a highly anticipated episode because of the tease of this Venetian Fort Lauderdale boat ride.
There was nothing more, as someone who is Italian, there was nothing more shocking to me than when the gondola captain opened her mouth and that accent came out. My jaw dropped. I was like, I don't even know how to respond.
Yeah,
this is far from an Italian experience.
No, she was definitely not my idea. I mean,
and kudos to a queen who's going to cash that check and just bring that gondola down to Florida and
absolutely
do the experience. That is like such a Florida.
Well,
like when we think of everything Florida, that is and I think there was a motor on it.
It's like a Disneyland attraction. There was a motor on it. Of course there was a motor on it. Absolutely.
And there were 2 captains.
Yeah.
Like this was not, I don't understand. Like it's just.
Okay, but that being said.
Falling short doesn't even. When you fall short, you're on the track, right? You're on the course.
Yeah, but okay.
But this wasn't even, all of this was not even on any course.
It was not on any course. It wasn't anything. It was like, why are you doing this? Like,
and I want to say that people have been saying that he's playing you. He's playing you.
He's not playing her.
I'm seeing the fiddle. I'm seeing the fiddle and I'm seeing the boa. Is that what it's called? A bow?
I don't think he's playing her. I think
I'm seeing the instruments. I'm not saying the fiddle is like ringing and playing music. I'm seeing the instruments laid out like a Wes Anderson film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How he lays out everything in like a perfect, and the sheet music's there.
Yep.
Is the fiddle being played and the sheet music being used and the bow being used? I'm not sure.
The pieces are in place. I don't think his attention, like when I think of someone playing someone, I feel like there's like a lot of malicious intent behind it, kind of. Or like
you get played though when you expect a engagement, and someone makes excuses of why that is not.
Yeah.
When you want something and someone does a confessional that you don't want it at that moment, that to me is controlling someone else's narrative.
Okay, I'm now beginning to see the instruments and
rude?
The bows being picked up. I'm
Again,
moving
picture
over.
the Wes Anderson like it's all laid out in a perfect to introduce the scene.
Yeah.
Now is it being like, I just think he is both convincing her and himself.
Yes.
It appears.
Yes, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Is I feel like they're just not on the same page. Like. He thinks that she thinks something. She thinks that he thinks something. Yeah. I mean, I think Monica's been pretty clear about what she wants, so he's like blatantly ignoring that a little bit. But when I tell you the tease of, and I have something else for you, Monica.
This is so crazy. I don't want to say crazy, but
and the fact that he calls it de-alcoholized wine.
Who wants that?
But I'm like, can you just say non-alcoholic wine?
Mean?
Like the fact that he even said the wine what it was incorrectly, like rubbed me the wrong way. I was just like, everything about this moment is not it.
So are we expected to think that a motor, I'm getting back to the motor.
The gondola.
The motor's chugging. The gondola motor's chugging up to
the dock.
The little pier or whatever they're on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you can see in her eyes.
Yeah.
She was waiting. And like, that's when you get played. And I'm sorry. It's like, I know there's different kinds of playing, but like there was some playing, like.
And you know how Rishi was like, I think she would hate it if like this is where I did the proposal. I'm kind of like, maybe she would really love it. Like maybe she doesn't care where
she's
you
on
do.
camera and she's conscious of the cameras there and that this proposal will be filmed. I don't think she'll be upset.
No, and
also when you're throwing everything at her, like de-alcoholized wine,
rose petals,
Dior bags, a motorized gondola, and you're not throwing a ring.
I know.
That's also the Wes Anderson intro shot, like the motor, the gondola, the Dior bag.
Oh my God. I can't help but compare Monica and Anisha a little bit in their journeys to get engaged. And like, I think Anisha's the type of vibe where she's like, you have to, like, if Anisha got proposed to on a gondola like that, she would be upset because she wants it to look and feel a certain way. She wants to control it a lot. I don't get that vibe from Monica. I think Monica really just is in it to like get engaged, and like it could be on a street corner, like it could be anywhere.
Maybe you do that and have a big and then she comes home and the big party's there.
Yeah.
Of everyone being like, congratulations.
I mean,
and like, that's also the surprise. It's layers upon layers.
Monica's not going to be out for mad if like,
this is just,
it's just,
I'm
Rishi's
just like, is
not
this when we
reading the
say
room.
Maya Angelou's, but is this when we say Maya Angelou's quote of when someone shows you who they are, believe them?
I'm so glad you brought Maya Angelou into this.
Is that family karma?
Yes. I think that's exactly what's going on here.
So you believe that if we're laying it out again, then you believe he's not going to propose. His intention at this moment in this period of his life is that he believes you are worth a Dior bag, a motorized gondola, a woman who is wearing this red and striped shirt who comes out with like this wacky. It's not wacky. That's so rude. But like this accent that is just not Italian. I thought I was so naive, and I know I'm stuck on this. I thought she was going to be an Italian.
Well, it's
woman.
That's not hard to believe. It's not like there aren't plenty of Italian immigrants who live here who could easily have to, or get someone who will fake it, like just.
I know, it was wild. And then when she made them kiss going under the bridge,
it was so awkward. And the way they were just staring at each other, drinking that non-alcoholic wine.
Do you know what someone could do the whole scene and do I watched a couple episodes of this show, but do a Curb Your Enthusiasm soundtrack, like the theme music to like
do 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 do.
Yeah. It's just yes, because it was just I feel bad saying that it was so embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. It was.
And I only say that not as a critique, but just as what do you want for this woman that you love with your whole heart?
Yeah, right.
Do you want to, when she's questioning, everyone's going to think this is an engagement and you're encouraging her not to post.
Yeah.
Or saying who cares what everyone thinks. Read between the lines. This is what she thinks.
Yeah.
This is what she's telling you.
She's telling you. And I'm seeing
expectations.
I'm seeing a lot of comments from people being like, oh, why is she trying to push the timeline? It hasn't been that long. I'm like, girl, no, it has been years.
It's been years. It's been since 4 years, season 1.
I saw a picture of them on Instagram from 2015 having dinner together. I don't think they've been dating that long, but this has been in the works for it's 2023, 8 years. I mean,
and my thing is if it's not gonna happen, he does seem a little young, and he's made it known that he just isn't sure that he wants this right now.
And that's okay, Rishi, but you got to get out of the relationship.
I know.
Like, it's not...
You're dragging her down.
And, Monica, it's really interesting. Like, I feel like... So she's done some posts online recently where she's talked about, like... She's kind of in this new stage of life where, like, marriage and kids are not a priority for her.
Okay.
But I think she's saying that now that it's very confusing what's going on. Someone DM'd me and said that Monica and Rishi were at Soho House getting cozy. And then someone else who I will not name who would know said, no, they're definitely not together. But I think now that I'm going to assume she's not with Rishi. She's now like, I'm focusing elsewhere. Like, sure, if a relationship comes along, that's great. But I think with Rishi, it was like, we've been doing this for a while. Like, I need to know that you're committed. Like, that I'm not just wasting my time while I'm trying to do all these other things.
And when you say you're committed with a Dior bag, I mean, I just think...
That's not commitment.
Seen this pattern.
Money does not.
That's a receipt. Yeah, that's a credit card receipt.
Have I said this before on the podcast? If I have, I'm saying it again. It's an unusually high number of marriages that fail that have a exceedingly high price on their wedding. So the more your wedding costs, the more likely you are to get divorced, apparently. And not that this is a wedding, but throwing money at I want to get engaged comment is like, you are just it's like ships passing in the night type situation, or motorized gondolas.
Well, I think it's also cannons firing off of one ship, skyrocketing into the air, making a banner that says "I want a ring," and the other ship just like kind of passing it and being like,
"Oh, that's nice. That's nice."
Yeah, like with Captain Crunch, like just chomping on its crunch berries or whatever, like in the other ship. Like we're like, what are we doing?
What are we
here?
doing? And
it's just like, your girl. That's when I'm like, not that he's playing her. Like, who knows if he cheated or whatever? But you're kind of getting played on national TV.
And she says that in her confessional, right? She's like, people are going to start telling me that I'm getting played at this point. And you could just see like the sadness in her eyes.
Yeah.
Like she was just disappointed. We were all disappointed.
And this is when it starts to affect, like, I'm not saying it's going to, but it has the ability to affect someone's self-efficacy.
Yeah.
And like the way they are in the world, because you're telling this person that they are not worth it at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's not going to change like anytime soon.
Change.
I don't know if it's about Monica or it's about him not being at the right stage of his life, or maybe a little bit of both. It's not right. And it's like, she needs to move on. So
I knew it wasn't going to happen because it wasn't in the preview.
Yeah.
Like for this season on
Family Karma, like showing a ring.
I was like, they're not going to get engaged because they usually show the kind of the highlighted moments.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
And then of course hearing that they were no longer together, I was like, yeah, she probably just kind of pulled out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Other things that happened this episode. So Vishal and Richa finally trying to get married at the courthouse, and Vishal once again does not read the fine print. They show up, full makeup, full glam situation, and they can't even get married because Vishal did not read the fine print.
And he did not read
the prenup.
Anything for the prenup. This man is, this is when it's hard to watch someone who's been handed things.
Yeah,
who has not, so to say, like stood on their own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you've had to work for things and take care of yourself and navigate the world, at least my experience, you read fine print, you read a prenup. You take care of things because someone's ability to skip through the world and just think that things are going to work out because they have been kind of taken care of because you work for your mom and you know, she gets you on deals. Like this is, I don't mean to whatever, but this is what's so frustrating watching it as someone who's just doesn't work for their mom or not handed all these things. And
no,
I don't know. Well, this is when I just get really frustrated.
I think there's a gender piece to this too, which we see because we see Vishal's, the way he treats the prenup process versus the conversation Anisha, Richa, and Lopa Auntie have.
So is Lopa Auntie a lawyer?
Yeah, it sounds like she is.
That's what I think, right?
She does some sort of, yeah. I mean, I know Richa was a lawyer for a while.
Oh, she's not a lawyer anymore?
No, now I think she does like financial advising potentially.
Okay.
But, you know, it's kind of like, and even Vishal's
this is
mom
also
is like,
no one, and he's never been through divorce. And when you're a child of divorce,
you see it, and
there is no fucking way, you would do that.
Well, and I think,
sorry, I'm just ranting on Vishal.
No, I mean, I think it's just interesting too what you're saying about like even Vishal's mom is like, you didn't read the prenup, like you should read it. Like women, I think, are also at a disadvantage in a lot of ways in our overall society. And so they need to kind of like cross
like
their
we
eyes.
make 70 cents on the dollar or 64 cents or whatever it is.
So we're kind of like a little more used to watching our backs when it comes to things like that. And
we even have to watch our backs when we go through a parking lot at night.
Yeah, right. So it's
so of course we're
gonna read the prenup. We're gonna make sure it's what we want. Anisha says, yeah, I got a prenup and I didn't like it, so we had to change it. And you know, I thought it was funny how Lopa Auntie was essentially like, you need to get a lawyer, Anisha. Like, tell them what you want and they'll draft the language, and that's it.
And get a lawyer. When in doubt, always get a lawyer is my advice.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it done right, I think that's absolutely right. So it was interesting just seeing. What I was a little horrified by is like Vishal is a real estate person, and real estate is just contracts. It's fine print and it's contracts.
And it just felt like the training wheels were on the bike. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if like I saw the training wheels on his bike at that moment when I thought he was riding the bike without training wheels.
And then you're like, oh, they're still there. Yeah.
Yes. No. They're ricketing. You know how like the bike
teetering.
goes back and forth on it's like, because you're like, oh, look at him go. He's on a 10 speed. And then you realize it's like, oh no, he's like on a bike with training wheels.
Yep, absolutely. It was interesting.
It's just like these life experiences. Like what are these life experiences that have been like a little bit of coddling, you know what I mean? That he's just kind of naive to this sort of thing.
Well, yeah, and you know, we're sort of seeing it with Brian too, like not knowing how to load his dishwasher and stuff. It's a different type of thing.
What were these people doing in their 20s? I'm serious.
I mean, living at home,
Did you do your laundry when you went to college?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what was he doing?
Maybe he had a laundry service. Didn't you say your sister went to a school that did laundry for them? So maybe that happened. Maybe he went to school near home.
Did you have a dishwasher? It's so wild.
I mean,
it's just like, I don't know. It's just like we have these like Arrested Development things. I mean, we're seeing it with Lisa a little bit too in a different manner.
Yeah,
but like
Miami.
Not to like gender specific, just Vishal and Brian.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like these people, these men. But I mean, I just am such like, and maybe it's just because I've always had to take care of myself and take care of these things, but like, do a little bit of a scan of yourself and like how you're getting through the world, and check in with others to be like, and if someone's like, your room's a mess, you don't know how to do the dishes, if there are these life skills that are like in handbook 101, get on top of that. And also it's a reminder to teach your kids, like, don't have them do their laundry. Like my kids know how to do their laundry. They do their laundry on the weekends.
Really?
Not alone, but that's
impressive.
They bring it downstairs. They go with the pod. They push the buttons.
Yeah, they know what to do. Yeah, I mean, I think Darmonte was like, look it up on YouTube, which is like, absolutely. These days, if you don't know how to load a dishwasher, there is a YouTube tutorial to show you how to do that.
How hard is it but you put the pot in and then you push the button?
Yeah, I don't know. There's
Has Brian have both of them lived outside of Florida?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. It
span.
Seems like both of them have lived close to home. I mean, I don't know where either of them went to college, but it's possible they both went to school like close enough. I mean, you hear about those people who like send their laundry home, like for
or like their parents go to freshman orientation, which is, I guess, a new thing right now, which boggles my mind.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So right now it's like, parents will go to freshman orientation with their children.
And like me,
my parents literally dropped me at my apartment or my dorm room in New York City.
Yeah. And they're like, bye-bye.
And they were like, fuck off. Like, they were like, well, we'll see you like later.
Well, I think that's also kind of an important thing. Like, how much do we need to hold our kids' hands through everything?
And and also calling them to wake up. I've heard of these stories too, to wake up for class.
Oh my God.
And making sure they're in class.
Okay. That is really, I can't.
Yeah. It's like really different. And also like emailing like teachers, because my friend's a teacher at CU and she's like, you wouldn't believe
the
emails I get from.
Yeah. I mean, I think the entitlement of kids in scholastic settings, especially in higher education these days, is like, it's stuff that you and I would have never done. Like would have never written to a professor and challenged them on something.
Or I've never had an extension in my undergrad, in my overgrad, or in my master's
and
right now.
Seems like
I've never had an extension.
Extensions are just run of the mill. Like my brother's a professor, and
what does he say?
He has told me some really wild stories about kids and just how fucking stuck up they are. Truly, and they just expect everything because they're entitled little pieces of shit. That's basically what it is.
It's so wild because at NYU I had a lot more homework and reading than I do now.
Yeah, in your current program.
Yeah, we just, and I have, don't get me wrong, I have a ton now.
Yeah.
But my papers at NYU were like 30-page papers, like 35-page papers or whatever. They were just so many papers. So they were just very long.
So much reading and writing, yeah.
So much reading and writing. And like, granted, I was like a journalism major or whatever, but compared to what right now, and like, just like, people being like, and I complain too, we have so much work, but people will be like, I've never had this much work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, it's just like, I think things have just been tailored so much to, before you could grab the cliff notes and just kind of go through there, which I didn't really do. But now you can just go online.
Oh, well, you
can watch someone give a YouTube tutorial of a whole textbook.
You can have Chat GPT, the like AI thing.
I know.
Write a paper for you if you want. I mean, it's a different
that hurts
world.
My heart as a journalist. That hurts my fucking heart because it's like the written word and people just not reading books, is just dying.
Yeah.
It's dying. And people are not reading articles. That's why my profession is in the diarrhea toilet. And it's just be curious and look at all forums is like what I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that there are things about previous educational systems that are antiquated and need to go, but I think there are things that 100%. We've lost.
Thank you for pointing that.
But I think there are like things that are being lost.
Like think of your undergrad, because your undergrad was definitely not a fucking walk in the park.
No,
there's no way.
I mean, I worked really hard in school, and I think, and I'm not saying that these kids aren't working hard, but it's like,
no, and we're not.
Expectations. It was just like, I have an assignment and I need to do it, or like I have a test, I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna like listen to my professor, and I'm not gonna like send my professor an email at 9 a.m. and be like, I need to meet with you at 9:15 and expect them to be available. Like, honestly, my brother has told me stories like that, like the expectations of him by the students. I don't know if it's because like they feel like they're paying for it or like what's going on, but it's like, it's weird. And and relating it back to the show, like, I think that more
well,
and
I
more.
think also, just to toot our own horn, back in the day, you went to the library to go like research stuff.
Yeah, and you had to look up
and you got a stack of books, like a literal stack of books, and you had to go through it. And there was no just clicking on shit.
No.
And that's why I think it's like we live in this immediate gratification society where everything needs to happen yesterday. And if it didn't happen yesterday, then it needs to happen 5 seconds ago.
I think texting is a real problem too.
And texting and my thing is just what I am learning about being a therapist is people are not even in the moment. Like we're not even in the moment because our brains are somewhere else and we're so detached from ourselves.
Yeah.
And anxiety is at a all-time high. Stress is at an all-time high. Suicide's at an all-time high. Depression's at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of factors going into it, but we're not checking in with ourselves. We're not being here. We're not like sitting down and like being like kind of like, okay, I'm going to like take this moment and be realistic and blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like it's just like all this mush of just like stop and take a moment, take a deep breath, evaluate what you have to do and go forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah, like Vishal, read the prenup.
And what are expectations? Read, and that's the skimming, like read the prenup, read the instructions.
Yeah.
And like you're going to read an instruction to put together an IKEA table.
Yeah.
Can you not read the instructions to put together like to sign a marriage license?
A major part of your life, like forever, that affects you and your spouse and your future children, like all of these things. And you know, there's one way you could look at it, which is like Vishal is just so positive about his relationship with Richa and all of this and whatever, but it's like, no, this is just stupid, like, and lazy. Like, just read the fucking prenup.
Thank you for
Vishal,
pointing
we
that
love
out.
you, but read the prenup. Okay, so then the priestess. Okay, so the priestess that Amrit
This was tough for me to watch. This was really tough for me to watch.
Okay, tell me why it was tough for you to watch.
The more it goes on, the more I'm Team Nicholas.
Yeah.
I see him flailing. And I see it feels like a little bit of a runaway train.
The whole wedding planning process and
his parents, like I thought it was disrespectful that the mom asked, I forget her name, asked that it's a priest, right? Am I allowed to call it a priest?
She said priestess. They were calling her priestess.
But remember when the mom asked the other priest?
Oh, Lavina, yes. Lavina Auntie said, I talked to another priest and he said he wouldn't do it. And Nicholas was like, oh, did you know?
And she didn't even register like on his face the hurt.
Yes, I am 100% with you on that one.
This is not it is his wedding because he's involved with it and he's a part of it and he's planning stuff, but I don't know. It's just it just feels like they are just conducting. I don't want to say controlling because controlling I feel like is like more aggressive. Yeah. It just feels like they're in the conductor's seat.
Yes.
And he's a passenger.
I think that's so true. And I think maybe he like agreed to things without understanding what they would be. And that's okay. Like to be like, well, this is my wedding and what I thought it was going to be is not actually what it's turning out to be. And I want to make changes. And I absolutely thought it was not okay for her to have done that. Like, and even if she did, I don't think she should have. She shouldn't have done it. She shouldn't have shared it with them. You know, like the priestess, like, because the sense I got is like they chose this woman not just because she's the only person that would marry them, but because they really were aligned in terms of like ideals and morals and what they want for their wedding ceremony. And she was so lovely and so on point with them
and relaxed and just
and like, we'll do what you want to do. And like, how can we make this your day and make it feel like right for you? And
just even when he was talking about the scripture, I could just feel like him fighting for that a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, I think just I would have been
he shouldn't
so
have to fight
upset
for stuff like that.
If I
would have been livid.
If this had happened to me and Patrick's mom, we were planning a wedding and she said, oh, I reached out to this other like person to officiate your ceremony, I would have been so mad.
Who has been there was the same one who said he would not marry them, and she reached out to him again.
Anyway, it's just it was hard. It was like, wow. She's been so supportive in so many ways. To see her do this, I was like, wow, okay, now we're seeing, like you said, a little bit more of what Nicholas is up against.
And I don't want to like bash her, because I feel like no one's
from a
like
place of love.
Her.
It came from a place,
and no one's saying you got to stop. Like you got to like okay, like get out of the conductor's, go into the passenger seat, because Amrit, is very much like they need to be present for XYZ. Yeah. But it seems like, Amrit's the only one, not for, being like they need to be present. Yeah. Whereas like Nicholas is like, let's just have you and I. Yeah. Like I was a little shocked, and granted, I'm not South Asian, that they came to the meeting with the priestess. I was a little like,
oh, me why too. Do they need to be there? I think Amrit said like, and this also wouldn't have sat well with me. He was like, this ceremony is for my parents. And I'm like, then why the fuck are you doing it? If it's not for you, then why are you doing it? I agree. And Amrit is not seeing Nicholas and his needs in this moment. And what's really interesting is, so before this episode, there are a bunch of like live Instagrams that were done with different parts of the cast, and I caught some of them. And one of the questions for Amrit and Nicholas was like, what was like one of the highlights of the season for you? And Amrit said it was like seeing our mandap, which is like the area that they get married for the first time, and how beautiful it was and special. And Nicholas said, which I thought was really telling, was his favorite moment was when they returned to their hotel room after the wedding and had that first moment as a couple by themselves. And I think that says so much. And I think it really like highlights Nicholas's priorities around this wedding, and wanting it to be about them and not necessarily like everything Amrit's family wants and needs. I mean, people have different perspectives on this. And I hope
you don't feel like, and I come from a place, just from my own experience, I had to break away from, I was the first, like, not to, this isn't bragging, because I still feel a lot of like, I don't feel shame, but it's a weight that I'll carry with me forever that my family put on me, like, as someone who didn't get married in the church that they were brought up in, that I was expected to get married in, and I was expected to have a priest. And I was like, I think the first one, Bianco, that wasn't married in a church. I wasn't even confirmed, so I couldn't get married in the church. But like, I know it's hard to break away from tradition, and especially what your parents want. And like the long conversations that I had to have with my dad over and over and over and over again, and still have to. About like, this is about Andrew and I, and Andrew's atheist. But this does not serve us. And this is not about you. And this is not about the religion that has been passed down for generations since our old country in Italy. It's that makes it so much harder to watch. Of like, I know those conversations are hard to get the tradition and stuff out of it when you both want that. But I feel like Amrit doesn't, you know what I mean, is not on Nicholas's page per se.
I think, and we talked about this in a previous episode, I think Amrit is at a crossroads.
I'm not saying he's not on his,
of needing to prioritize the new family he's starting versus the one that he grew up in a little bit, and he's not quite there yet. And to him, it's not a big deal that they're doing the ceremony for his parents. He's not seeing that Nicholas is like, no, this ceremony is for us. I want us to say vows. I want to say I do. Like, there's no right way in any of these things, but they are not seeing eye to eye in what they want for this wedding. And so, I do believe, I am from the thought though, that it should be for the couple.
It's my partner over my parents. You get to a certain, because my partner is the father of my children, which they not don't have that yet. And this is just my own belief, and it's not for everyone. It's always me and my partner, because we're in the trench. my dad's not in the trench. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so therefore it's like I protect my partner, and Andrew and I've always had a relationship that way of like, I got your back, you got my back, because you're going to come. This is just the first of many obstacles with parents, with in-laws, that's going to come up.
And I think I think,
does that make sense? I'm not trying to sound heartless. I'm just like Andrew over everyone.
No, and I think that's how you are, and that's how you've been able to be. I don't think Amrit is in that headspace.
Yeah, and that's what. And I don't want to say this works for everyone, but this is why we watch reality shows, if I can add, because it's like you're seeing someone else's experiences in real time, and I think it's like, I'm not judging him. I'm more like, we've been there. Yes. Like we understand to a certain degree, because I know, I don't want to say your stuff, but like, you know, we've had to, you go into this place where it's like your blood is sometimes like, there's things that were working before that are not working with you and your partner as a partnership.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I said this,
and I want to just be like, Amrit, I get it. Like, I got you. Like, I get it. Like, I totally get how hard that like to do that. Does that make sense?
No, it's absolutely like, I think, and he even expressed it in a past episode. Like, I
hope you don't feel like I'm being critical of him, because I do love him. But I'm glad you said he is totally at a crossroads.
He's at a crossroads, and he said that in so many words in another episode. He said, I need to start, you know, I feel all this like indebtedness to my parents for what they've done for me and everything. But I also need to consider the needs of my partner and this new family that I'm starting. And it's a shift. And it's a shift that people make.
I think it's hard also because like you get into this, this also, I'm sure he's thought about like, they're older, you know, their time on this planet, not to sound dark, but like, and this is for them because it's like, it is a celebration to show this is not a milestone in my life, but it's a milestone in their later years. And I'm just trying to like be on his side. I understand how that is a factor, you know?
Well, how many people do we see who end up letting their parents dictate so much of how their wedding will go? I think this happens across all cultures.
Their life, even. It doesn't, you know, and I'm not saying this is happening for them, but you see people and it's like, get the bird out of your ear.
Well, I think what's interesting about all of this is like, Nicholas has gone through a painful process of separating himself from his family already, and Amrit has not done that.
And can I just say, as someone in my grief class, he's grieving that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that when you have that with a parent of what he experienced, Nicholas, people don't understand that grief.
No. And he's gone through a lot of that. And so he wants to focus now on this new chapter in his life, is this relation. It's not a new relationship, but this new chapter with a new family. And Amrit is still stuck in two places. And it's not that he needs to like let go of the family he was born into and like treat them badly and cut them out of things or whatever.
No.
But it's like the priorities when it comes to your wedding, you know, for me.
Yeah, what would you do? I know you're not married, but
if I were to have a wedding tomorrow, like after being with Patrick for 15 years and we have 2 kids and all of this, you know, it's like I would want it to be about us. Like, what else is there?
Would you have done that in your 20s before kids and like?
I would like to think so, but honestly, I don't know. You know, circumstances are so different. Amrit did say his parents are really helping out a lot financially, which we know.
I know. And I thought about that. And I thought about his parents possibly like helping out with the baby and financing IVF and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, these are things that it sounds.
Is it called IVF if it's too?
It's called surrogacy.
It is IVF. Okay. But there is IVF done?
I think so. Like there would be
okay.
Like eggs
I don't
want to
like mislabel it.
Well, I think so. I think there are different ways to do surrogacy. I'm not sure what they all are. But yeah, I mean,
but there's that way too with Nicholas is like the perspective of them helping them have a child.
Yeah. I mean,
and so it's like you don't want to piss him off.
It sounds like the financial help is mostly just for the wedding. That's the sense I got. And that Amrit was kind of like, I need to finance the like surrogacy thing if we're going to do that. But it's all complicated when money gets involved in weddings from parents. I've seen this so many times. It can get ugly, you know.
Can I recommend? And again, I'm a hothead because I did this. I paid for half of my wedding was like, I think it was $7,000 total,
which is impressive.
And I paid 30. Well, we got married in a hopa. Like also we got a hopa, which is Jewish, but on the bridge or underneath the broken bridge. But like, I recommend, you know, I let my dad pay $3,500 for it. And then we paid the other $3,500. I paid for my wedding dress because I was like, I'm doing this on my standards with my wallet. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I know like not everyone can do that and you want more money, but like like you said, when money, I've always been aware of how money can change relationships and stuff like that, and power is with money. That's why I was like, no one's gonna have power over this. Yeah, you know,
totally. Did you feel?
But I understand not everyone want that.
Did you feel like your dad had any power, considering he like helped for? You were like, this is a no strings attached situation. If you give us this, because like, what did he have power with $3,500? He paid for the dinner. Yeah. And then we paid also for our party the week after with all of our friends and family. We paid for, not for family, but with all of our friends. We paid for the whole thing with that. And that didn't even include that. Well, I'm just saying that, and that's good. I just like, for anyone out there who's like going through this now, you know.
And you're thinking of tens of thousands of dollars and you're like, this is getting complicated. There are ways to make it special and small and contribute to, like, I don't know, but maybe I don't know.
You know, that's what Monica said on one of her Instagram things was like, she wouldn't want to shell out money for a wedding at this point. Like, she doesn't think it's worth it.
We're seeing her like she's the Miranda Hobbs.
She's like,
do you know what I mean?
It's a whole new Monica.
Like, Miranda has one of my favorite trajectories of everyone, any like character. And Sex and the City is so fucking problematic. Yeah. Am I excited for season 2? And just like that, yes, I am.
Yes, we can acknowledge all of those things. Yes.
Yeah. Like her storyline, like it's just like she is so set on her ways, Miranda, right? She's a lawyer. She wants to be partners. She doesn't want a kid.
She likes her alone time.
She's focused on her job. She likes her alone time, excuse me. And Monica is like, they're not similar personalities, but it was like Monica, the way she started the season or the whole show to now is so similar.
You could see Monica in the beginning as a Charlotte, right? Like
Oh wow! No, really,
she won.
Okay, yes. Oh my God!
And then
she was so Charlotte.
And then Charlotte had to change course too. You know, she did kind of end up with what she
had
wanted.
A great trajectory too, though.
She did. I feel like Monica, though, she's really like blossoming. I feel like out of
she really is her renaissance, her Beyonce renaissance. Absolutely,
I'm so thrilled for her.
And that just is like it makes me so happy because I think also with the Housewives we're seeing it with Lisa. Yeah. You see these women's personalities, these females' personalities tied up in being attached to these men and things that they want that is thrown out to you from society, like marriage, children, big wedding, blah blah blah. And then it's like you see someone like Lisa on Miami and it's like you get all that and then it's like or like with Monica, it's like in Miranda, it's just like life. Listen, and for people that are really young, you have this blueprint of the way you think that your life is going to go, and
you don't know shit.
Burn that.
You don't know shit.
Bring that to the toilet and wipe your ass with it, because like that's not going to happen. Yep. You know, like, you know, and I don't mean to say Bali, but like Bali thought things were going to work out, and we're all Bali. Yeah. Yes. You just like land on your feet somehow.
Yeah. And you keep
and you
moving.
Either blossom like Bali or Monica. Yeah. And what the fuck was that in the trailer?
Which part?
Bali was like, my parents kicked me out.
So
is that for real or is that not real?
Okay, well, so we saw the conversation with her mom, and her mom's like, so what's your plan? Like, when are you leaving the house, essentially? And Bali's like, you told me to come here. And Bali's mom's now like, you need to move in with O'Malley. So that's kind of like the next thing. But we interviewed Bali earlier this season, and it sounds like she's moving all over the place these days. I mean, I see on her Instagram that she's in Louisville a lot of the time with O'Malley. Mm-hmm. So for all intents and purposes, she's moved in with him, right? Like, I think that's what's going on. But I think she also spends a lot of time in Miami. I think she goes to New York often to be with Anushka, her daughter. Like, she's living, I don't know. And like, no judgments about
Who
that.
cares?
Yeah, I'm like, that works for you.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. And it's like, she's on FaceTime with O'Malley all night, every night. Don't ever forget that.
Oh
Don't ever forget
that.
But Bali was just like, okay, time for us to, or Bali's mom's like, get out of the house. So I guess that's what's happening with her.
Can I also like say that, you know, I think that I just want to reiterate that Bali's journey is just such a fresh breath of air.
Yeah.
Wait.
A breath of fresh air.
Fuck. I'm like having a dead, like, I was up all night last night. You know when you're up all night and like, well, you know, and your neurons aren't like connecting anything?
Yeah, because you're tired as fuck. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry you didn't sleep. Like, that sucks.
You know, it's like sleep. I feel like sleep comes and goes. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, I think a lot of people could relate to that.
How are you sleeping right now?
Oh, you know, I'm out like a light because I have a newborn.
Oh.
And I'm just tired all the time.
How was last night?
Oh, but he sleeps really well, so I really shouldn't complain. He just wakes up earlier than I probably would. But, I mean, I put him to bed, you know, around 7 o'clock. He sleeps until like 6 in the morning.
That's so wild. Good for him.
He's the best baby. I love my baby. I love him.
So I'm just looking. I have to bounce.
Oh shit.
Kind of right now. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
But we covered a lot of ground. I just want to remind people that the conversation continues.
It does continue
on Patreon. Family Karma Kast with a K. Oh my God, I've been doing this podcast for 3 years.
Because we do need to talk about Anisha and Brian and the disagreement at Holi and Auntie Brian, which maybe we can discuss on the Patreon when we record next week.
So join us there.
Yes.
Tell your friends.
Sorry we missed
review
recapping everything this week, but we'll do more. And sorry, it's also a later episode this week. As we said, it has just been a lot lately. But we thank you all for listening. Join us on Patreon, rate and review. Thanks for listening. Namaste, bitches.
Namaste, bitches.